it's Michelle from Weekend Craft here, and I'm so excited to show you my new machine. I just got in the mail the xTool M1 10 watt. Now this is a hybrid of a laser cutter and a blade cutting machine. What does that mean? It's basically a Glowforge and a Cricut had a baby. So today I want to bring you through setting it up. I just took it out of the box. I undid the wrapping and that's about it. So we are going to get this set up. We are going to do a couple projects and I'm gonna give you my honest review of my first impressions of the xTool M1. Now, what's the difference between the xTool M1 and let's say a Glowforge? It's all in the laser. So this is a diode laser where the Glowforge is a CO2 laser. So the reason the price point on this is so much less than the Glowforge is because it's a more economical laser. That laser does have some limitations, but for me as a household crafter, I think this is going to be perfect. I've been wanting this machine since the Kickstarter, and I was super excited that xTool asked me if they could send me one. So even though this machine is gifted, I'm going to give you my honest review and first reactions. So we're going to start up by setting it up, doing some projects, and I'm going to do a bunch more videos on more in-depth projects and reviews. So be on the lookout for that. If you're watching over on YouTube, hit the subscribe button below, give me a thumbs up, and you will see some of my other videos on the xTool M1. So let's dive right into setting this up. So we have our power switch, our USB port to our computer, our power supply, and this is for extensions. Now, this vent here is where the xTool is actually going to vent out. So we need to install a vent clip here and then a hose that is going to vent out of a window or a door. So we have our vent here, and now we are going to add this attachment for the hose. And it did come with some screws. So now we have our hose here and our clamp. Now, you see how there are two things that stick out? You can, it gets bigger and smaller as you grab them. So what we're going to do is this little extra edge that's on the hose, that's gonna go over this like pipe fitting, and we're gonna cinch it with this clamp. Okay, so that's what it should look like. It was a little harder than expected. So this is what it looks like. You have a little bit of that overlap, and then you put the clamp down on it, and then this is the hose that's gonna go down the window, or out the window. So what's nice about this is it just kind of accordions into itself. You kind of store it like this or tuck it into the bottom shelf here. Because this is kind of difficult to put on, I'm not gonna take it off and remove it every single time I use it. But for right now, let's just tuck it under here. So another thing to note, if you don't have a window to vent this out of, there is a smoke processor that you can vent this into that xTool sells. It's like a box, almost looks like a dehumidifier, and it will suck the smoke into that. So that is an option, but it is definitely an added expense. So we're just gonna put this right out the window. So we have our power brick. This goes right into the machine, and this goes into the wall. So We'll connect these. And then this is going to go into this right here. Now we have our USB. This is going to go into the back of the machine. And then this is going to go into your computer. Now, this is a USB 2.0, I believe. Most newer computers have the USB-C, so you may need an adapter. I know that I need one for my computer to use this. So if you're planning on putting this on a shelf or anything to use it, just make sure you have the clearance for the top here to open. Now, there is a film on the top of this. So here's the inside of the machine. So we have our diode laser and our blade in here. So this is what is actually going to cut, laser engrave, all of that. There's a camera that is in the machine here. So when you put the top down in the software, it's actually going to show you your material and where it sits on the surface. That way you can position everything correctly. It's actually a really cool feature. And the bottom here, if you're cutting a thicker material, you can actually take the bottom out. And in a separate video, I'm going to show you the risers that I have for the M1. And basically what that does is it lifts the machine up, and then we're able to engrave tumblers or ornaments or cut thicker materials. It's a really cool feature. It's something that the Glowforge does not have, and I do that with the rotary attachment. So if you're interested in seeing the risers and taking out the bottom of this machine to work on those thicker projects like engraving a tumbler, make sure that you subscribe below, because I will have more videos coming out, and that way you get notified. So this is where you're going to set down your projects, whether you are engraving or cutting. You're going to set them down here. So when you set them down, you always want to put them on top of these triangle bars, and that will give some breathing room under your project. This will help with charring, making it more safe. And it comes with 10 of them, I believe. So if I was going to cut a piece of wood right now, I'd place it right on top of here. Now, if you were going to use this for die cutting or with the blade, you would put your mat onto the bottom here and stick it right on, and then you would cut your material. Okay, so like I said, this is the laser, and this is where your blade is going to go. It's just like the Cricut. You'll push this top here and add the blade in. So let me grab a blade. Now, what is nice is that it comes with 5 replacement blades, and I was actually surprised about that because that's a great amount of blades. So here is the blade here. You're gonna pull off that red cap. Okay, so we're gonna press down on the top here, and the blade is going to insert right in here, and then it has a magnet, so just puts it right back up. And then this is all magnetic, so it just fits right in to the holder there. And we'll look at that a little bit more closer. It just pulls right down. You'll see we have our blade in there. xTool.com/pages software, or when you go to xTool.com, just click on software. So I am going to install the software for the Mac OS Intel chip, So if you have a older MacBook Pro, it's probably an Intel chip, and I know that my iMac is actually an M2 chip. So I'm going to click on the Mac OS. It's going to download here. I'm going to double click on this so it opens. We'll drag this over to our applications folder. And then we're going to scroll down until we see xTool Creative Space and double click on this. We're going to click open. And here we are in the xTool Creative Space software. So now I need to connect my device. So we're going to make sure that our device is plugged in, and then I'm going to connect it to my computer. So if you do need a USB adapter, you can get like something like this on Amazon. I'll link one for you in the description, and you're just going to plug it in to here. So this will go in the side of your computer, and this goes in right on the side here. Okay, so I plugged in the xTool, so we're going to click the power button on the back. I'm going to switch that on, and you hear that hum. That means it's on. This light will be blinking. And in our software here, we are going to click Connect Device. Now the light is turning on in here, so I might just give it a second, and then I'm going to click Refresh. So there we go. We have our M1 laser box. And we're just prompted to do an update. So we're going to let that update load. Okay, so as you can see and hear, our M1 is on, and then our software is updated and connected, and it's giving us a photo visual of the inside of the machine. So let's put something in there so we can actually see some materials. So we'll lift this up. We can hear that hum. Let's go ahead and lay down some of these triangle prisms. Triangle bars. I don't really know what to call them yet. We'll have to look that up. Let's just put down some tags. Now these came with the set that I bought, or the set that was sent to me. So we have our tags on our triangle prisms. This is ready to start engraving or scoring, and then I have it vented out of my window. So let's come over here and click process. So now we're going to close the top. And you'll see in our software, it's giving us a real-time image of our materials that are on the surface there. That's what I really like about this. And then we can position our design over the tags. We have our tags in the machine. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place in this SVG file that I have. Just going to drop it in. Now I'm going to right click and group, and then I'm just going to resize it. So I thought this would be cute for a little tag. I'm going to place it in there. And then we're going to come over here. Now I have this on round wooden keychain. I'm not entirely sure this is right. I do need to play around a bit more with the materials. There aren't a ton of materials when I go through here and check. You'll see they give you acrylics. Actually, we're gonna go with this rectangular wood piece. That actually looks correct. Okay, so our thickness is a 2 on there. We're gonna click on engrave here. And then I'm just gonna get it into the position that I want it in. It's kind of hard because these aren't all that straight. I need to play around with this more, but I'm wondering if you can like draw a straight line or something. So getting it straight might be a little difficult, but this is just our first try, so we're gonna try this. So we have our tags on our triangle prisms. This is ready to start engraving or scoring, and then I have it vented out of my window. So let's come over here and click process. So we're going to click this front circle button. It should be a solid blue. And then you'll see here the laser's going, and then the top of our M1 is actually like this orange material. I don't know if, I think it's glass. It's either glass or plastic. But it protects your eyes because you're not supposed to look directly at the laser. So the software is telling me that it should take about 4 minutes. From what I've been hearing, it usually takes a little bit longer. Look at that. We made our first tag. I need to get better about centering, but they came out pretty cool. Okay, so now we're going to cut out some basswood. So I'm going to add my design here. I have a layered heart mandala. So you're just going to drag that into the artboard. Then I'm going to resize this. Now you can drag the corners here, or we could lock this in at 5 inches. So let's do that and move this off to the side. And I actually don't want to cut out these pieces here, so I'm going to delete this layer. So how this is going to cut out is this will be a very intricate cut, and this will be just the basic heart shape. We're going to layer these over each other like this. So I don't want to cut them like this. I want to put them aside, so they cut as two different pieces. So we are going to do a laser flat. I'm using a 3mm basswood plywood. It automatically sets the thickness, and then we are going to have the basswood on top of our triangular prisms. So once we have that all set, I'm going to go ahead and connect my xTool, and then I'm going to click connect device. So I've turned on my M1 and I have my basswood plywood here. This is a 3mm width. But before we put this into the machine, we are going to grab our triangle prisms, and this is what we're going to put the basswood on top of. So we're going to open this up, and let me bring you guys in closer. So I've gone ahead and connected my xTool, and you can see that it has on the artboard here, it's showing us the inside of the machine. So I'm going to go ahead and put my materials inside, so then we can position our artwork over it. You can see now the plywood shows up, and we are going to position our artwork. So I'm actually going to make this a little bit smaller. So let's do 3.5. Whatever changes you make to one, you want to make to the other. Do it about here. I just want to test how small it can really cut. Okay, so it's now set to score. So you have score, engrave, or cut. So I'm going to do cut on both of these. And now we are ready to click process. Okay, so here it is. It's an estimated time of 2 minutes. I definitely think it's going to take longer than that. And I'm actually going to click on framing, and what this is going to do is it's going to show us where it is going to cut. So the laser gives you kind of a preview on your material. So let's check this out. So that showed us the area in which it's going to cut. Okay, so we are going to click the button in the front, and now it is going to start to cut for us. Okay, so I shut the machine off so we wouldn't get that humming, but let's go ahead and take off the plywood. Look at that. So you will notice I didn't mask this. There is a little bit of scorching on this, but let's see how it came out. So I have a few pieces I just need to poke through, like down in here. But look at the detail on that. So I do have some scorching. I don't mind it. but there is a way that you can mask the basswood, or you can buy like a basswood plywood that's already masked, and that'll reduce some of that scorched lines. But I am super impressed. Here's the heart. And it's gonna lay over just like that. Super cool. This would have been great for the holidays. I cannot wait to make some ornaments next year. We do have a little bit of cleanup with all of these cuts, but that's not bad at all. So here's how it came out. It came out so good. So I'm gonna glue this on top here, and it's just gonna be part of my Valentine's Day decorations. I might paint the bottom here so it's a little bit of a pop of color. But this has my mind going, what if I make earrings either with acrylic or with basswood? So you will notice that there's some residue, and this is from cutting that plywood. So I'm cleaning up all the extra little pieces, and then I think I'm gonna try to use Windex on this. These are kind of a pain to clean up. I need like a mini vacuum. So to get in and clean this, just using Windex. We'll see how that works. So you'll see the char residue is coming out. So since this is a hybrid machine, it also cuts similar to the Cricut. So it does have a blade. So we are going to be cutting some iron-on vinyl. So the mat's very much like a Cricut mat, except that it has the stickiness on both sides. So the gridded side here is what you're going to put your iron-on vinyl on, or your paper, or your adhesive vinyl, really anything that you're cutting. Okay, so with iron-on vinyl, you want to cut glossy side down or your carrier sheet side down. Now this is the heat transfer vinyl that came with the premium materials package. So it doesn't matter, like the Cricut, like you want to get it in a corner, you can put this down really anywhere on the mat. But out of habit, we'll just put it in the corner here. And then we are going to flatten this out. So when I go to put it in the machine, I'll pull off the back here and stick it right to the inside of the machine. So we have our graphic in here. I'm gonna put a weeding box around it so we can save our extra vinyl. So I'm just in the shape palette, grabbing a rectangle. I'm gonna drag this over here, and we're gonna unlock it. That way it doesn't constrain the proportions. So this looks great. So I'm gonna select all of this and click group. And because we are cutting this on iron-on vinyl, we need to mirror it. So we're gonna mirror it horizontally. And then last time we tried to cut this with the xTool reference, the cut pressure of 90 cut through our iron-on. So we're gonna change that. So you're gonna click off the xTool selected, by selecting user-defined parameters. So we're going to bring the speed, we're going to bring it to 90. And then for our cut pressure, or we're going to do the speed to 80, our cut pressure, I want to say let's try 75. Just going to type that in here. Go ahead and click process. Then we're going to select start. To start our machine. Now it's going to start with the blade cut. So let's see how this one cut. So right away you want to get in the habit of putting your protective sheet back on to your mat just to keep it sticky. And let's see how this cut. I'm just using my Cricut hook tool. I'm grabbing a corner here. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn this mat over. I'm gonna peel from behind. And there you go. We have our iron on. What I'm going to do is cut here and I'll be able to save this scrap vinyl. Now I do want to show you guys the cart. I need to give a shout out to my friend Corey on Hey Let's Make Stuff. She bought this cart for her M1 and it's fantastic. Not only is it heavy duty, it's 112 pounds, which if you guys are gonna grab this, make sure you have someone to help you bring it in and set it up. But it fits the xTool great. It has wheels, so because this needs to vent out a window, it is perfect for just rolling it over to my window in my kitchen. It holds my printer. It has this pull out shelf. A Cricut also fits on this, and I'm storing my Cricut here. It has great storage, and then it also folds up into a bigger workspace. So I am going to put this cart in the description of the video. It's fantastic. I just had to tell you guys about it. So I went ahead and cut out some lettering for this sign. We used that heart that we had originally cut, and it came out adorable. This is going to be perfect for Valentine's Day. So let's talk about my initial thoughts on the xTool M1 hybrid laser and blade cutter. So I've been using this now for about 7 days. I'm using it every single day, and I walked you guys through how to engrave on wood, how to cut wood, and then how to cut iron on vinyl with the blade cutter. So overall, I am really impressed with the machine. I will say there is a learning curve, and I am pretty well versed with die cutting machines. Now, I've never used a Glowforge before, so I can't technically compare them, but I was expecting a little more guidance and instructions with setting this up and our first cuts. So keep that in mind. I will say, once I got the hang of it, I absolutely love cutting basswood. I can see myself doing a ton of projects with this machine, and I cannot wait to dive into engraving thicker materials, like engraving tumblers and ornaments and even like a knife, engraving on metal. So I'm really excited about the possibilities of the projects I can now do with this machine. Now let's talk specifically about blade cutting. So there was a lot of trial and error here, and I'm actually going to do a whole video just on iron-on vinyl or HTV settings for the M1. I wasted quite a bit of iron-on vinyl because the settings that the machine automatically set to did not work with the iron-on vinyl that I had, and I used both xTool's iron-on vinyl, I used some Caesar vinyl that I had on hand, and some Cricut. So with some slight tweaks, I was able to get it to work, but there was a learning curve. Now, does this cut faster than the Cricut? It doesn't. I can see myself using this more as a laser cutter than as a blade cutter, but that's just because I have multiple Cricut machines. So if you're buying this machine and you don't own a Cricut, it's a great option to have both that blade cutting and the laser. But as someone who already has a Cricut machine, I don't foresee myself using this for blade cutting. I just want to be honest there. Now, overall, I'd say I would probably rate this, like, if we're going off of 10, I'd probably rate this at a 7 out of 10. I think the price point is nice compared to the Glowforge. I did come into it knowing that the diode laser is different than the laser in the Glowforge. So while I'm a little bit disappointed it won't cut clear acrylic, I am really excited to use some of the color acrylic like black or green that it will cut. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the machine. I can't wait to get to learn it a bit more. I think there's going to be, a forever kind of learning curve. And I think as more creators get this machine and are able to create videos and blog posts, I think we're going to see what this machine can really do. But yeah, that's my thoughts. I hope you go down below and subscribe. I'm also putting a full review blog post below with my initial thoughts and walkthrough of some of these projects. If you want to take a closer look at these projects, you'll see it down below in the blog post. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I hope you enjoyed this video.